Hello students, I am Dr. Krupa Rasne, Professor and Head ENC Department, Jain College of Engineering, Belgavi. Now let us continue with the video 3 of module 2. Okay, and we'll be referring to the same textbook, MD Singh and Kanchandani. And in this particular video, we'll be looking into the turn-off mechanism and the turn-off methods, that is natural and forced commutation, class A and class B types. The other two topics will be dealt with in the forthcoming video. So this is the content. We'll be starting with turn-off mechanism, the characteristics of an SCR. We have already seen the turn-on mechanism of SCR, which consists of TD plus TR plus TS, that is the turn-on time. So let us see when you turn off an SCR what happens, and also what are forced commutation and natural and forced commutations, and the classes class A and class B types of commutation of thyristors. So turn off mechanism of or the switching characteristics of the thyristors, and this is to switch off. So what we see in this particular graph is this is the anode current graph and this is the anode voltage graph. Here we are assuming that the thyristor is already on and hence the current is high. That is, IT is high and the voltage is low, and hence the thyristor in this particular region is said to be turned on. Let's say I am turning off the thyristor. Because I am turning off the thyristor, the anode current has to become 0. So the anode current will start to fall and it will reduce and become 0, let's say at T1. So the actual turn off begins at T1 when the anode current has become 0. But what happens is the current, it will not stop at 0 and it will continue to flow in the reverse direction. And this reverse direction in fact helps us to bring the junctions that are disturbed during the on time back to its original state. So we have got three junctions, junction J1, J2 and J3. So this reverse current helps to for the charges to recombine. Okay, and till this negative peak, it will reach a negative peak and then start again to decrease back to 0. So the peak of this negative, till then the thyristor voltage across it, because it is still said to be conducting, and the voltage across this thyristor is very less, that is equal to the VT, that is the on state voltage of the thyristor. Now as this current starts reducing and becoming 0, the voltage across the thyristor starts to develop in the reverse direction. Now this is mainly because of the reverse voltage that I have applied, okay, to turn off the thyristor or to reduce this anode current. So after this particular time, okay, till T3, the current is decreasing, and it is between this T2 and T3, the junctions J1 and G3 are recombining and trying to get back into their original off state. Okay, but the J2 junction is still disturbed, and between the time T3 to T4, the junction J2 is recombining and the storage charge are removed. So basically what we are doing is we have got this turn off time is between T1 to T4, and this region from T1 to T3 we call it as the reverse recovery time, and this is called as the gate recovery time, TGR, and the total turn off time is equal to your T off. Okay, so T off is basically the turn off time of the thyristor, and then what is TQ? TQ is the period till we apply the negative voltage across the thyristor, because we want to turn it off. So negative voltage across the thyristor should continue even beyond T4 to ensure that the thyristor comes to the off state and doesn't go back to the on state. So this we normally call it as a circuit turn off time. Okay, So turn off time of the thyristor is basically made up of TRR and TGR, and TQ is the thyristor or circuit, external circuit turn off time, or the period during which the thyristor will have a reverse voltage. And after this point, of course, it will start, the forward voltage starts developing from this time onwards. The turn-on time of the thyristor is defined as the minimum time interval between the instant at which the anode current becomes zero and the instant at which the device is capable of blocking the forward voltage. The turn-off time is illustrated in the waveform that I have shown you. The total turn-off time T off is divided into two time intervals, the reverse recovery time TRR and the gate recovery time TGR. So let us see what is this TRR. At the instant T1, the anode forward current becomes 0. During the reverse recovery time T1 to T3, the anode current flows in the reverse direction as I have shown you. At the instant T2, that is when the reverse current reaches the peak, the reverse anode voltage is developed. So till the peak, the anode voltage is almost 0 or equal to Vt. But when the reverse current reaches the peak, it will start developing a reverse voltage across it. At T3, the junction J1 and J3 are able to block this reverse voltage. So they are basically starting to get back to the state. That is, now it will start to block J1 and J3 will start blocking the reverse voltage. However, the thyristor is not yet able to block a forward voltage because carriers, which are called as trapped charges, are still present at junction J2. During the interval, that is T3 to T4, these carriers recombine. That is, J2 will start getting back in its original form. At T4, the recombination is complete and therefore a forward voltage can be reapplied at this particular instant. The SCR turn-off time is the interval between T1 to T-off. And in an SCR, this time varies in the range, a typical value of 10 to 100 microseconds. Thus, the total turn-off time, if you see, we can call it as a circuit turn-off time, is TQ, that is required for the device is the sum of the duration for which the reverse recovery current flows after the application of reverse voltage and the time required for the recombining of all the excess carriers in the inner two layers of the device. So we have been looking into the turn-off methods. The reverse voltage which causes the commutate means turn off. The SCR is called as the commutation voltage. And depending on the commutation voltage located, the commutation methods are classified into two major types. So how we commutate, basically they are called as natural commutation and forced commutation. So what is natural commutation? In natural commutation, the source of commutation voltage is the supply source itself, means whatever is the input, that itself is used to commutate or turn off the thyristor. If the SCR is connected to an AC supply, at every end of the positive half cycle, the anode current will flow and through the natural current 0 and also immediately when a reverse voltage is applied across the thyristor. So during the positive, thyristor is forward biased. During the negative of the AC signal, it is going to be reverse biased, and that reverse voltage itself will act as a reverse commuting the thyristor SCR. These are the conditions to turn off the SCR. This method of commutation is also called as source commutation. Since I do not need any additional circuitry, external circuitry turn off the SCR, it naturally or commutates because of the source. It is called as a line commutation or source commutation. So if you see at the natural here, we have seen here, I am connecting an AC supply to this SCR. So during the forward bias, let's say I give a gate at instant t equal to 0 only. So obviously it is forward biased and gate is also present. The SCR will start to conduct the current. Since the current is flowing through the load, I am going to get a load voltage across this. Now the current is going to increase as the voltage increases. It will reach, means it will follow the input voltage itself. So the current will also increase, reach a peak, and when this becomes 0, that is when the input voltage becomes 0, the current also will become 0. And at that time the reverse voltage is going to come here, and this reverse voltage means this will be minus and this will be plus. That time this reverse voltage will make sure that the SCR will not conduct, it will reverse bias it and turn it off. So since AC itself is turning it off during the negative cycle, this is called as the natural commutation. So the commutation is possible with line commuted inverters, controlled rectifiers. See, rectifiers also have got input as AC. Cycloconverters are also having input as AC, and AC voltage regulators. Okay, they are also having AC. So whichever circuit has got AC as the input, they are sure to have natural commutation of the SCR or natural turn off of the SCRs. Then what is forced commutation? So obviously if the input is not AC and if it is DC, the input cannot turn off the SCR because the input doesn't become negative at any point of time. So in case of DC circuits, there is no natural current 0 to turn off the SCR, obviously. In such circuits, the forward current must be forced to 0. So how do I turn off the SCR? I have to reduce the forward current when it is on to a level less than the holding current. Okay, and if I make that current to go less than the holding current, then automatically SCR will turn off. So how do I make it? Either I apply an external reverse voltage using some other circuitry, or I will send a reverse current through the SCR which will make the forward current nullify the forward current. So both the positive current and negative current will become 0 and SCR will become, current through the SCR will be less than IH, that is the holding current, and SCR will turn off. So in such cases I am actually forcing the SCR to turn off. So this commutating circuit consists of components like inductors, capacitors, and they are called as the commutating components. So how do I do that? I use components like inductors and capacitors. These commutating components cause to apply a reverse voltage across the SCR that immediately bring the current in the SCR to 0. So let us see how your inductor or capacitor will apply a negative voltage across the SCR and force the current through it to 0 and turn off the SCR. Based on the manner in which the zero current achieved and arrangement of the commutating components, forced commutation again can be classified as class A, class B, class C, D and E. This commutation is mainly used in choppers and inverters, but in your syllabus we'll be dealing only with class A and class B. Now let us look at the class A commutation. This is also known as self-commutation. Now note the difference. This is not line commutation or it is not the source commutation. It is called as self-commutation. Self-commutation means automatically after some time it is going to become off. Or it is also called as a resonant commutation or load commutation. Let us see why. In this commutation, that is class A commutation, the source of commutation voltage is the load. Means the load itself will make sure that the current will become 0. The load must be an underdamped RLC supplied with a DC supply so that natural 0 is obtained. We will explain this. The commutating components L and C are connected either parallel or series with the load resistance R, as shown below with the waveforms of SCR current voltage and capacitor voltage. So this is basically class A commutation, and what we see are two different circuits, and hence we have got one circuit which we'll call it as A, where the load RL is in parallel with this C. Initially, incidentally, L and C are the commutating components which are used to turn off this SCR automatically because of its oscillation nature, that is damped oscillations that occur. Input is DC, so obviously SCR cannot be turned off by the natural commutation. Hence, we are forcing it using the LC components. So, different connections are there, how LC is connected with the load. So, here in this case, C is in parallel and here C is in series with the load. So what happens is we have this waveform for with respect to the gate current, and this is with respect to the voltage across the capacitor, and this is the current that is flowing through the SCR, and you will see that even though the input is DC, we are going to get this because of the LC combination. The resonant circuit current will actually be a little sinusoidal like in this fashion, and we have got the voltage across the SCR. So these four waveforms are important and you should be able to explain it in class A commutation. So initially what happens is we can say that the SCR will start to conduct at t equal to 0 because I give a gate here. It is already forward biased, and the explanation for both will be almost similar. So when the gate is given, the current will start flowing through this SCR. The capacitor, if you see, is in series with this, and hence it will start to charge. So this SCR current will charge and the capacitor voltage will start to charge in this fashion. It will charge how much? To the input voltage VDC. After that, it should stop charging, but the inductor which is in series with L will force the capacitor to overcharge. Means it will not allow the current to stop charging the capacitor, and the stored energy in inductor gets dissipated in C, and the capacitor will overcharge to twice the value of VDC. That means it is plus here minus and it is more than this value. That makes basically the SCR to be reverse biased. And what happens is the voltage across the current through the SCR will reach a peak when voltage in VC is VDC, and when the overcharging is happening, the current is still positive and it is decreasing. And when this becomes 2 times VDC, the capacitor becomes 2 times VDC, it will reverse bias this SCR and that will automatically turn off. Once it turns off, the reverse voltage of the capacitor will obviously, the voltage will be more when SCR is off. That voltage will come across the SCR. So the reverse voltage of the capacitor will be coming across the SCR for some time, and then the SCR will then continue to discharge, okay, and recharge to its initial condition and remain at this stage, that is at with plus and minus at VDC, and it will wait for the next firing pulse to come to trigger the SCR, and the same phenomenon will continue. Okay, so once I trigger the SCR, after some time the current is going to become 0 through the SCR and the SCR commutates. So now let us look at class A commutation, a little more explanation. The value of load resistance and the commutating components are so selected that they form an underdamped resonant circuit to produce a natural zero. When the thyristor or SCR is triggered, the forward current starts flowing through it, and during this the capacitor is charged up to the value of VDC. Once the capacitor is fully charged more than the supply source voltage, the SCR becomes reverse biased and hence the commutation of the device. That is, SCR becomes off. The capacitor discharges through the load resistance to make ready the circuit for the next cycle of operation. The time for switching off the SCR depends on the resonant frequency, which further depends on the value of L and C components. This method is simple but reliable. For high frequency operation, which is in the range of about more than 1000 Hz, this type of commutation circuits is preferred due to the high value of L and C components. So now let us look at the design consideration for class A commutation for both the cases. So first case is load is in parallel with your SCR and the other is the load is in series with the capacitor. So this is just a revision Laplace analysis of the circuit, and we know that we have got the time domain and the S domain equivalent equations. So let us look at the first, if I have got a differential equation in the time domain and it would be represented as S into Fs in the S domain, that is the Laplace transform of df by dt is S into f of s. Suppose f of t is sine of omega t, then its S domain will be omega upon s square plus omega square. I am just giving the revision. And suppose I have an electric circuit where V of t is the input and R is the load and I of t is the current flowing through it here as shown here. This is the time domain, and in the S domain I can represent this V of t as V of s, I of t as I of s, and R remains here as it is. And hence in the S domain I will have Vs, V of s, V of t is V of s equal to R into I of s. Next, let me look at another circuit which is an inductor base. So input is Vt and current is flowing through an inductor L. So the equation in the time domain is the voltage across, that Vt is coming in parallel with L. So it be Vt becomes equal to L into di by dt. So we know that the Laplace transform equation for Vt it is Vs and L into di by dt is nothing but S into Fs. Fs is I of t here. So I will get L into S of I of s. So S in S L I of s. So this is the equation if I have got an inductor in the circuit. Next is, suppose I have got a capacitor and a voltage is applied and capacitor is charging. So I will have in the time domain I of t, the charging current is given as C into dV by dt. So in the Laplace domain or Laplace transform, I of s equal to C into dV by dt becomes S into V of s. So taking V of s in the left hand side, I'll get 1 upon S into C into I of s. So this just an equation because we'll be using these formulas later. And EDC is a DC voltage which may be given as the input, which could be V of t also. And if I take a DC voltage as input, then EDC of S, the Laplace transform of a DC voltage, is represented as EDC upon S. Okay. So let us continue with the design analysis. In this, I am taking the first case, that is the load is in parallel with the capacitor C. And here we are applying EDC as the DC voltage, and from this circuit what I am observing is EDC, KVL law, EDC is equal to, we have got L into di by dt plus V. V is the voltage that is coming across this capacitor and RL. So I'll simply write it as L into di by dt plus V. And the current that is flowing through the thyristor can be represented as I. See, this current which is flowing through the inductor, it comes here and it will divide into two parts. One is flowing through the capacitor and the other is flowing through the resistor. So the equation for I can be written as C into dV by dt plus current through the resistor, that is V by R. So let us begin analyzing this circuit. We are supposed to find the values of L and C and understand this circuit using these starting values EDC and I. Now, I'm going to use this pointer to explain this. So we are starting with this equation EDC is equal to L di by dt plus V. In the Laplace domain, we have got S domain, we have EDC of S minus V of S is equal to L di by dt can be written as S into L of Is. And we have another equation I is equal to C dV by dt plus V by R. This will be written as I of S, right, equal to V of S upon R plus C into dV by dt becomes S into C into V of S. So from equation 1, I can write Vs, okay, is equal to take EDC on one side. So EDC minus S into L of Is, that becomes equation 3. But we know EDC is nothing but in the S domain EDC by S. So I can substitute equation 3 and 4 in equation 2. So Is becomes equal to EDC, right? Vs is EDC S minus this. So I'll substitute that and I will get EDC upon Rs minus SLI of S upon R plus SL in the bracket SL, again Is is there where Is is Vs upon R. So Vs is again EDC by S minus SL into I of S. Okay, so rearranging this particular equation, I will get an equation for I of S, and taking I of S on the left hand side, I'll be getting EDC by S into 1 plus RCS upon R plus LS plus RCL S squared. So we rearranging this, taking your RLC outside, S is already there. I can get this particular equation 5. Now coming to this equation 5, what we have got in the previous slide, Is equal to EDC upon RLCS, and you see inside the bracket the denominator is a quadratic equation. So if I have got in the time domain sin omega t, this is the S domain. In the S domain, I get a denominator with a quadratic equation omega. So if I take a Laplace inverse transform, that is going from S domain to time domain, this equation will come in the form of a sine. Okay, so it has been represented as I of t equal to EDC upon R. R has been taken out, LC has been taken inside, and we will try to put it in the form of omega upon S squared plus omega squared, and I will be getting an equation of this form. Now here we are representing epsilon, which is equal to 1 upon 2r root of L of C. This is called as the damping ratio because it has got this L and C. And we have this Wn, which is represented by 1 upon root Lc. This is the natural angular frequency undamped. And we have the term omega. Omega is represented as omega n to the root of 1 minus epsilon squared. And phi is the phase angle that is given by tan inverse of 2 RC omega. And once I take this inverse Laplace transform, I can further simplify it using this value A, okay, in this particular equation where A stands for this term, okay, and we using that sine inverse phi equal to, so I try to replace this in terms of sine inverse of 1 upon A. Now this is, the derivation part is simplification part is not there so much. So I'm just explaining it to you so that you understand it, but you may have to remember these formula 5 and 6. Now continuing with this, we saw this equation 6 in the previous slide. Now this we got the equation of I of t, that is the current flowing through the RLC where C is in parallel with the load. And using the first two equations again, okay, I of t I have got. In a similar way, I have to find v of t. Okay, so what the input voltage. So using the same 1 and 2 equation and the same process, taking the Laplace transform again, instead of taking I of s on the left hand side, take v of s on the left hand side, and you will get come an equation like you did for I of s in this fashion. And this, after this, we take an inverse Laplace transform and we get this v of t equal to edc wn upon root of 1 minus epsilon square e to the power of minus t upon 2 rc sine omega t plus edc. So all the values of omega epsilon are very similar to what we explained for I of t. So in this case, the triggering frequency of the thyristor must be less than Wn so that the conduction cycle is completed. Well, you may find the derivation a bit ununderstandable, okay, but at your from your syllabus point of view, I have tried to cover the textbook simplification that has been explained to you. But what is more important to us is to understand how the circuit works and whether you are able to understand the waveforms, the four waveforms of the SCR current, the SCR voltage, the voltage across the capacitor, and the current waveform, anode current waveform. That explanation should be more thorough rather than this derivation. Now looking into the class A commutation, the part B of the circuit, that is load in series with the capacitor C. So we have got the load here R, it is in series with the capacitor LNC. So in this particular thing, the thyristor will be turned on at t equal to 0 with the initial capacitor voltage as 0. And again we will have to look into the current and voltage equation that we did similar to the load in parallel with the capacitor. But the equation to begin with, the basic equation, unlike the series, unlike the parallel, now would be EDC equal to KVL law, the voltage across the inductor, because this is conducting, there is no voltage here. So L into di by dt plus the voltage across capacitor and the current flowing through this, 1 upon C integral I of t dt, and the voltage across R, that is I into R. So using this basic equation, we can use Laplace transform the way we did and continue to evaluate the value of I of t and V of t, okay, using Laplace transform and inverse Laplace transform. So basically these are the two waveforms for the two circuits that we have drawn for class A, with the capacitor being in series with the load resistance and the other is the capacitor being in parallel with the load resistance. And what we observe is, though the input is a DC, the LC combination forms the resonance circuit, because of which the current is going to be in this sinusoidal form. Whether it will be damped or undamped depends upon how the load tank circuit is made. So basically for the series capacitor you get this kind of a waveform. But what is important for us to note is that the current rises and becomes zero after some time automatically, and how long it takes to become zero depends upon the value of LNC. So in both the waveforms we see that the current, once the SCR is triggered, becomes zero and goes in the reverse direction. Once the current tries to reverse through the SCR has to become off. Okay, so this is the waveform of the two circuits that we have shown for class A commutation circuit. This is class B commutation, and what we see here is the DC is applied to the circuit and the capacitor charges with the upper plate positive and lower plate negative. That is, what we are assuming is that instead of connecting LNC in series with this SCR, these commutating elements are connected in parallel with this SCR. input is going to be DC, and when this SCR is not conducting, the supply voltage will charge this capacitor with plus on top and minus to the value of VDC. Okay, at what we do is, when the SCR is triggered, when is it going to be triggered? At this point. So here you can see the waveforms. This is basically the gate current waveform. This is the load current that is flowing through RL. ISCR is the current that is flowing through SCR. Note that there will be current flowing by like this, and also the current flowing through the tank circuit or LC commutating circuit. And this is the load current. And when the SCR is conducting, we assume this load current to be constant. Okay, so this is the VSCR is the voltage across the SCR. So this is your waveforms. So let us see at this point when capacitor initially is charged to plus minus because SCR is off. Now the SCR is forward biased, hence ready to be triggered. At t equal to 0, at this instant, we are triggering the SCR. Okay, and then what happens is, suddenly when this conducts, this path gets completed, and the capacitor which is initially charged will start to flow or discharge through this SCR and back to the negative plate. So from the positive plate, SCR to the negative. At the same time, the supply voltage is also going to allow the current to flow through the SCR through the load in this direction. So what you will observe is there will be two currents flowing through the SCR. One is coming from the supply VDC, and the other is the commutating current that is coming because the capacitor is discharging through the SCR. So this is the waveform that we see. The current IL, we are saying it's going to remain constant, but the current through SCR will basically be consisting of the two currents, and because of this LC commutating circuit, the SCR current will rise till the capacitor becomes 0 because it is going to contribute, and then it will recharge, right, with plus minus. Why? Because it is still conducting, and the inductor will not allow the current to become 0, and then the same current will continue to charge the capacitor with plus minus. So what happens is, once the SCR is turned on, the capacitor discharges through C plus, right, L through T and then to T minus. When this capacitor is fully discharged, right, it starts to charge with the reverse polarity, which I told you just now. Hence, a reverse voltage will be applied across SCR, which causes the commutating IC. Okay, so now because this is plus now and minus here, reverse charge, the SCR will be first of all reverse biased, and the capacitor, because it is still conducting, not yet turned off, the capacitor tries to discharge through the conducting SCR. Note that of course SCR will not be able to conduct a reverse current, but there is a forward current flowing. That means the current which is discharging through this should become equal to the current which is going positive. So once they become equal, the current through the SCR becomes 0, and that will happen here. So initially the capacitor, which has got reverse polarity now at this point, will try to discharge in the reverse direction through the SCR, right? And that will make the SCR to turn off. So as long as this reverse current is flowing, this capacitor, which is reverse biased, will come across the SCR, and it will the capacitor will be discharging till this current is flowing. So you can see the discharge here, because capacitor is coming across SCR. The VCR, the voltage across the SCR, is same as the capacitor voltage. And what happens is SCR becomes off at this point. You can see, so the load current as such will become 0, but the capacitor will continue to charge in this direction and come back to its original position plus minus. Okay, so the point is, when the capacitor becomes plus minus here and tries to discharge here, the commutating IC has to be higher than the load current, right, that which is flowing in the positive, and SCR will automatically turn off. Okay, so this type of commutation is also called as again self commutation. Okay, and it is normally used in chopper circuits. So in class B commutation, just brushing up what I told you just now. When the DC supply is applied to the circuit, the capacitor charges with the upper plate positive and the lower plate negative up to the supply voltage input, that is VDC. When the SCR is triggered, the current flows in two directions. One is through the VDC, that is the input VDC, through the SCR, through the load R and back to VDC negative. And another one is a commutating current through L and C components, that is the capacitor will be discharging through the commutating circuit. Once the SCR is turned on, okay, the capacitor starts discharging through C plus, L, thyristor and C minus. When the capacitor is fully charged, okay, it starts charging with a reverse polarity. Hence, a reverse voltage gets applied to SCR, which causes a commutating current IC to oppose the load current IL. When the commutating current IC is higher than the load current, the SCR will automatically turn off and the capacitor charges with the original polarity. In the above process, the SCR is turned on for some time and then automatically turned off for some time, and hence it is called as self-commutation. This is continuous process and the desired frequency of on-off depends on the values of L and C. This type of commutation is mostly used in choppers. Now looking at the design consideration of class B commutation circuit. We have got a circuit here for class B with L and C in parallel with SCR. Okay, and the circuit equation for this LC tank circuit, if you see, that is L into di by dt plus the voltage across capacitor, that is 1 upon Ci dt, and since it is short circuited, this becomes equal to 0, means it's conducting. So manipulating this, that is multiplying by di by dt here. So I'll get L into d squared I by dt squared plus 1 upon C into I of t equal to 0. Now taking Laplace transform of the above equation, it gets simplified to d squared becomes s squared into L, right? Di by dt squared terms means s squared L plus 1 by C into I of s outside. This is equal to 0. Then you take the Laplace inverse transform and we get the current. See, it's a quadratic term, so you are going to get the inverse term in terms of sine. And we have also seen the current through the ISCR as a sine wave, right? So this becomes a sine function and it is equal to EDC root of CL by L sine omega t. So this part of the sine is always the peak part or maximum value of the sine wave. And omega t is a resonant frequency which is given by root of 1 by LC. Hence the peak commutating current, peak value of the current, because I of t is I peak into sine omega t. So I peak commutating current is this value, which is EDC into root of C by L. So this is a simple derivation. Looking into the summary of this video, we have looked into the switching characteristics of the thyristor with respect to turn-off mechanism. We have also looked at turn-off methods, that is natural and forced commutation. And in forced commutation, we have seen two types. There are actually many types, class A, B, C, D, E, F. But in the syllabus, we are covering class A and class B types. In class A, we have seen again two types, that is the capacitor, the resonant capacitor coming in parallel with the load and the capacitor coming in series with the load. And in class B, we have seen that the LC circuit comes in parallel with the SCR. So with this, I will stop this video and I hope you have understood. Thank you so much. Thank you. If you have any questions, kindly get back to me.